Welcome to the Hey, all you sports fans out there in the tubosphere, to you, the individual, as part of the collective. Welcome to Fast Track Sports Rack, highlights here on talk radio version of the OMSR. I'm your brief but very concise host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill, doing the voiceover intro show thing-a-ling-a-ma-jing. Let you know the clip order coming up the last two wherefore. So just briefly and concisely, take it from the herd, all the video highlights courtesy too, with Colin. He and I are spot on in agreement on this point. Sport violence in domestic life. It's the highlight of the theme here, or it's the theme, it's the underlying theme to what's coming up. But just violence in general. Excuse me. Not a good thing. So, heads up to sports figures out there. The microscope is on. DA offices are more and more likely in these kind of cases, unless there's huge mitigating circumstances that's not evident in a video per se, right? I'm not being judge, jury here. But with a legal background and well, it's enough to say that, experience-wise, you might see this sort of happen with Tony Stewart. But as promised, that was only two parts of two. I'm not going to do any more on that. But this is in regard to like the whole slew of topics that seem to keep popping up here in the off season. Dude, Greg Oden, what happened? Ohio State, #1, get to the national championship game. Lost to Florida twice that year. Probably left a bad taste in his mouth. Leaving early. The leaving early thing doesn't suit every guy well. That's not to say dudes who come out as juniors in the NFL are better prepared than guys who are freshmen in basketball-wise. I just think it should be an across-the-board thing in college sports. You gotta be a junior. You had to learn to manage your life and things that may come up when you're under that sort of scrutiny as a high-profile athlete for a couple more years. Gotta be at least 21, 22-ish before you get out there in the real world and you have all this moolah coming in. I mean, he had to have made, what, $20 million? Talking about Oden here. Anywho, that's coming up. Thanks for watching. Those silly DUIs while you're on.
All guests on the herd appear via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline.
Get the Subway Galaxy of Fresh. Chance to win free subs, movie tickets, more Subway where winners eat. So a lot of people were saying, that Ray Rice story, which was disgusting, domestic violence. How come you're not covering Greg Oden, who was formerly charged with battery? #1 pick, formerly Greg, allegedly punched his ex-girlfriend in the face during a fight. Arrested. Happened in Lawrence, Indiana. Affidavit. Witness told cops, punched the woman in the face several times, drew blood. Yes, it's grotesque and it's outrageous. But as I said this, there's no video, and it's NBA off-season, and Oden's not a star, and Ray Rice in the NFL going into his season with video. All stories aren't equal, even when the actions are equally despicable. That's just the reality.
Yeah, and this is really too bad. Came out early. Here's this.
Perhaps in America this week. We talked about one.
There's a case of coming out too early.
Bigger news.
Should have stayed at Ohio State.
You don't watch news equally. You don't watch sports equally. You don't watch
Did not
stars equally.
work out for him.
I mean, Tony Stewart's a huge name in NASCAR. That's going to be a bigger story. I guarantee you, on dirt tracks around this nation, there's probably half a dozen people that get killed or hurt in the last 5 years. I would say that's happened. We've never talked about it before. Tony Stewart's involved. We're going to talk about it. So 88 players were on the Mitchell report. How come nobody wanted to know about Paxton Crawford on page 111? We talked about A-Rod, because that's what you cared about. So yes, the NFL's bigger than the NBA. Ray Rice is a big-time player for a big-time recent Super Bowl winning team. We had video of this grotesque domestic violence, and we talked about it a great deal, especially for a league increasingly with the NFL that is having violent players do really violent things to people. So yes, and I get this a lot of times in college fans who are the most myopic. Pro fans generally live in bigger cities. There's more teams. Their life doesn't revolve around like one high school or college team. Like Ohio State Buckeye fans are the most myopic. I've always said they really are they feel like the SEC, which in the SEC, a lot of the teams are in smaller towns where the team is the center of the town. People like the USC Trojans and UCLA and Los Angeles, but they have 2 baseball teams and 2 NBA teams and a beach and mountains and commerce, and there's a lot of things to do. They got 4 airports. I mean, people come, they go. You've got San Diego to your south. You've got the wine country to your north in Santa Barbara. But in a smaller town, you know, the football team or the sports, Lexington, Kentucky basketball is the beginning and the end. People schedule vacations around it. They schedule things around it. And the reality is, I get this from college fans all the time. Ohio State fan during the Terrell Pryor mess. Well, how come you're covering this so much? Other people do this. Yeah, and other teams win. But we don't have their coach on our radio show. Ohio State has amplified coverage for winning, losing, and controversy. I had Urban Meyer on 2 weeks ago. I didn't have Miami of Ohio's coach on, and won't. Kentucky basketball has a Calipari issue. Kentucky basketball gets also free coverage. Remember when we put a camera on Calipari for like 6 months? We didn't do that with Drexel. We didn't do that with, Washington State or Rutgers. We did it with Kentucky. So we pay attention to Jameis Winston. Other guys shoplifted. They're not the Heisman winner. They don't play for Florida State. Florida State's a national champ. It's amplified coverage. So the Weather Channel doesn't cover storms equally. If they hit population centers, it's a bigger deal. Tornado hits Miami, going to be a bigger deal. You know, it's a population center. So I think the Greg Oden situation is disgusting. I think violence is escalating in this country. There's a corrosive nature that's getting worse. And man-on-woman violence, man-on-man violence. I just looked at a video this morning of a Michigan football player decking a kid, knocking him out, breaking his jaw in 3 places. And by the way, Michigan hasn't even kicked him off the squad yet. Oklahoma's got a running back that decked a woman. He's still on the football team, from as far as I can tell. Disgusting. It's unbelievable. I mean, we have way too much violence. It's awful against women. It's awful man-on-man violence. You see it in stadiums. I got videos now of Michigan wide receivers decking somebody. How's he still on the football team? How's he still on the campus? I don't care if he's suspended. Get him out of there. I got video. Get him off the campus. And we just allow it. So, we're going to cover stories differently. But as I said during the Ray Rice situation and during the Greg Oden situation, this is not just a man-on-woman issue. It is a societal issue. We have massive violence inside stadiums now. You go to an NFL stadium, you got 4 fistfights guaranteed. I mean, it's seriously, I can't take my kids to an NFL game anymore. That's the best thing baseball's got going for it. I've never seen a fight at a baseball game.